Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry I can't be with you today as Parliament is sitting. I do hope that this conference will give you the opportunity to broaden your skills, develop knowledge and capability across the sector and network with others. It has been a big year for the community legal sector, so I would like to make a few remarks on what has been and what is to come. This year, the Commonwealth and the States and Territories will be undertaking a review of the National Partnership Agreement on Legal Assistance Services 2015 to 2020, which provides Commonwealth funding to the states to administer the legal aid commissions and community legal centres that we know is so critical. The review will provide valuable insight to inform Commonwealth funding arrangements beyond 30th of June 2020. It is important that we get the terms of reference right so we have the levers we need to negotiate the best possible outcome for those future arrangements. The Department of Justice and Attorney General has been working with the legal assistance sector, including Community Legal Centres Queensland, to provide feedback to the Commonwealth on possible terms of reference. We need to ensure that the review considers the level of funding certainty provided to government and the sector by the National Partnership Agreement. As you all know, the Commonwealth funding cuts that were scheduled for 1 July 2017 caused significant anxiety and would have resulted in substantial impacts to the sector and communities. The Commonwealth's decision to reverse the funding cuts in April 2017 was a last-minute decision. Even after the Commonwealth's announcement, it took them over 3 weeks to release details of the funding allocations. Community legal centres still faced uncertainty about their future, so the Queensland Government stepped in with some temporary funding to 30th of September while we waited for the Commonwealth. I'd like to again acknowledge the advocacy of community legal centres, the Queensland Law Society and the Bar Association Queensland and other legal stakeholders and local members of Parliament who fought for this funding to be rightly restored. The Queensland Government will be strongly advocating for ongoing Commonwealth funding certainty as soon as possible after the review is completed at the end of this year. I encourage you to keep up to date with the review through Community Legal Centres Queensland as it progresses and to offer your experiences of the National Partnership Agreement through the consultation process. The reversal of the Commonwealth funding cuts meant that the Queensland Government could restore its core service system and allocate funding for additional family law and family violence related services from 1 October 2017 through to 30 June 2020. An additional $4.8 million was allocated through a procurement process to 10 community organisations across the state, including Brisbane, Gold Coast, Mackay, Townsville and Palm Island. With this funding, the Women's Legal Service was able to maintain current service levels through its helpline, and Mackay Regional Community Legal Centre has been able to employ much needed additional solicitor in the region. Of course, services for people experiencing family law problems or domestic and family violence are ingrained within the core service system and delivered by all community organisations every day. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you all for your tireless work. Our next big fight will be with the family law amendments introduced by the Commonwealth Parliament that will have a significant impact on our courts and the people who you support through family law services. As you are likely aware, the bill before the Parliament, if it's passed in present form, will replace added demands on our state court system. Community legal services, including Women's Legal Service and ATSL, have rightly raised concerns about this bill. We will put pressure on the federal government to ensure that any changes it wants to make to the family law system will put the welfare of users of this system before any other consideration. Another new component of Queensland's service system is the statewide coronial legal assistance service, which is delivered by the Caxton Legal Centre in partnership with the Townsville Community Legal Services. It was reported that a number of bereaved families had experienced hardship in paying the significant professional costs which are unrecoverable associated with being represented through a coronial process. This meant that in some instances bereaved families were unrepresented through the process. With funding from the Queensland Government, Caxton and the Townsville Community Legal Service are delivering services to grieving families experiencing a coronial inquest. These services will have a much needed and profound impact. I also understand that the self-evaluation toolkit will be launched at this conference, which has been delivered by Community Legal Centres Queensland with funding from the Queensland Government. The toolkit will be unveiled by Community Legal Centres Queensland tomorrow at a workshop, which will step you through the process of evaluating and reporting on the outcomes and impacts of community legal services. Evaluating outcomes is really important for clients and for government in understanding the value of its investment. I encourage you to attend tomorrow's workshop. Again, I'd like to thank Community Legal Centres Queensland for the important work you do coordinating community legal centre services and for your continued advocacy for the sector and advocacy for our most vulnerable members of society who rely on free and low-cost legal assistance. We know how valuable that advocacy service is, and I just want to take a moment while I'm in Parliament to say thank you for the Community Legal Centres Queensland's advocacy, and particularly the LGBTI legal services for their advocacy in changing the laws in relation to gender reassignment and the Marriage Act. I had the great pleasure this week to introduce amendments to the Births, Deaths and Marriages Act, which will see us remove that discriminatory term in relation to someone who is married and who undertakes a gender reassignment surgery. No longer, when this bill is passed, will they have to make the decision that they either be divorced or they can change their gender through their legal documents, such as their birth certificate and adoption certificate. This discriminatory provision will be removed, and we have introduced this bill this week, and I thank the CLCs and their advocacy for supporting this initiative. I hope you have an enjoyable conference. Thank you for what you do each and every day for helping people across the community. I thank you as the Attorney General, and the Palaszczuk government thanks you for the important work that you do.